Imagine a prison so secure that escape seems impossible. Cameras watching every corridor. Guards trained to react in seconds. Walls reinforced with steel and concrete. That was Mexico's Puente Grande prison, officially classified as a maximum security facility. The kind of place designed to swallow a man whole and never let him back out. And yet, in 2001, it failed spectacularly. This is the story of Joaquín El Chapo Guzmán, the drug lord who humiliated the Mexican state by escaping prison not once, but twice. Joaquín Guzmán was born in 1957 in the rugged mountains of Sinaloa, Mexico. His hometown was La Tuna, a tiny village in the municipality of Badiraguado. This wasn't a place of opportunity. It was a place where poverty and survival shaped every childhood. For generations, families in Sinaloa had relied on poppy and marijuana cultivation to make a living. It was illegal, yes, but it was also one of the few ways to escape hunger. As a boy, Joaquín was nicknamed El Chapo, Shorty, because of his stocky build and modest height, but his ambitions were anything but small. He sold oranges and worked odd jobs to help his family, but it was clear early on that the drug trade dominated life in Sinaloa. The region's rugged terrain was perfect for growing illegal crops and hiding labs, and in a world where the state seemed absent, traffickers became the ones who controlled wealth, power, and fear. By his late teens, Guzmán had already joined the local marijuana and poppy trade. In the 1980s, he worked for Miguel Angel Felix Gallardo, the so-called godfather of Mexican drug trafficking, who founded the Guadalajara cartel. When that cartel fractured after Gallardo's arrest in 1989, Guzmán saw his chance. He founded the Sinaloa cartel and built it into one of the most powerful drug empires in the world. El Chapo's genius wasn't just violence, though he was ruthless. It was logistics. He perfected smuggling routes into the United States using tunnels, planes, boats, and even disguised shipments of chili peppers and jalapenos. By the 1990s, El Chapo was a billionaire, a fugitive, and one of the world's most wanted men. But in 1993, after a bloody series of confrontations, he was captured in Guatemala and extradited back to Mexico. And so began his first stay in a so-called maximum security prison. El Chapo was locked up in Puente Grande prison near Guadalajara. Authorities called it escape-proof. But they underestimated Guzmán's influence. Over the years, his cartel funneled millions in bribes to guards and officials inside. Rumors spread that he lived more like a king than a prisoner, enjoying smuggled alcohol, meals, and even conjugal visits whenever he pleased. Then came the night of January 19th, 2001. The official story? El Chapo slipped into a laundry cart, covered by dirty sheets and uniforms, and rolled straight out of the prison. The cart was pushed past cameras and thermal scanners, but somehow nobody stopped it. Some say it was a stroke of genius. Others, that it was laughably impossible. Prison officials later claimed the thermal scanners would have picked up his body heat, which raises the question, did he actually hide in that cart? Or did guards simply open the doors and wave him through? Either way, what's undeniable is this. Guzmán walked out of Puente Grande, unchallenged, and vanished. His escape was a national embarrassment for Mexico. The newly elected president at the time, Vicente Fox, had promised to modernize the state and fight corruption. Instead, the world saw headlines about a drug lord casually rolling out of prison. Investigations showed that at least 70 people, guards, officials, administrators, may have helped El Chapo. Some were later convicted, others quietly retired. For ordinary Mexicans, it was confirmation of something they already suspected, that the cartels could buy their way through any lock, any wall, any institution. And outside prison, El Chapo thrived. For 13 years, he expanded the Sinaloa cartel's empire, controlling up to half of the cocaine, heroin, and methamphetamine entering the United States. His men fought bloody turf wars with rivals, leaving tens of thousands dead across Mexico. The DEA called him the most powerful drug trafficker in the world. Forbes magazine even listed him among the world's billionaires. El Chapo had become a myth, part criminal, part folk hero, part ghost. But myths don't last forever. In 2014, Mexican Marines caught up with him again. On February 22, 2014, Mexican authorities launched a raid on a beachfront condo in Mazatlan, Sinaloa. El Chapo was taken alive, without a single shot fired. The capture was hailed as a major victory. For the first time in over a decade, the government had its hands on the Kingpin, who had embarrassed it so badly. This time he was sent to Altiplano Prison, a maximum security facility outside Mexico City. Authorities swore there would be no repeat of Puente Grande. Cameras monitored his every move, guards rotated frequently, and he was kept under near-constant surveillance. For 17 months, it seemed like Mexico had finally beaten him. But El Chapo had other plans. On the night of July 11, 2015, guards noticed something strange. El Chapo had disappeared from his cell's shower area, the one blind spot not visible to cameras. When they went to check, all they found was a hole. Beneath the floor, hidden under the shower tiles, was the entrance to a tunnel. But not just any tunnel. This was a 1.5-kilometer engineering masterpiece that stretched all the way to a half-built house outside the prison walls. It was dug 10 meters underground, fitted with lights, ventilation, and even rails for a modified motorcycle to carry dirt and supplies. Think about that. A tunnel big enough for a man to stand and walk through, built with precision, directly underneath a maximum security prison, and no one noticed. The sheer audacity stunned the world. Videos of the tunnel circulated online, showing just how elaborate the escape route had been. This wasn't a jailbreak. This was a construction project that cost millions, executed under the noses of Mexican authorities. By the time guards sounded the alarm, El Chapo was already gone, vanishing once again into Sinaloa. For 6 months, he lived as a fugitive, until Mexican Marines caught him again in January 2016. This time, there would be no more escapes. He was extradited to the United States, where in 2019 he was convicted on multiple charges and sentenced to life in prison plus 30 years. He now sits in the ADX Florence Supermax prison in Colorado, a place so secure it's nicknamed the Alcatraz of the Rockies. El Chapo's story is a reminder that sometimes real life looks more like a Hollywood script. A kingpin born in poverty who built an empire on violence and fear. A man who escaped 2 of the world's most secure prisons and lived to tell the tale. And while the legend of El Chapo may live on in songs, headlines, and narco culture, one thing is certain. This time, his story ends behind bars. That was the unbelievable story of Joaquín El Chapo Guzmán, a tale so wild it almost sounds like fiction. But as history shows, reality can be stranger than any movie. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and join us here on Think Twist for more unbelievable true stories from around the world. Until next time, stay curious.